What's up guys, Mana here. I have been on the topic of supermoto lately since I'm a big fan of this kind of motorcycle. We talked about the CRF300 being a practical choice for a daily supermoto rider, and Suzuki's lost opportunity with the DRZ where I live. In this supermoto related video, we will be tapping into the world of vintage enduro, or should I say vintage supermoto, with a model that I basically grew up with. A model so popular worldwide and still has a rock-solid following even up to this day, despite it being killed off a long time ago. And that is the Honda XR250. To make things easier to explain, we will be using the XR250 name in referring to these bikes, particularly the enduro models from Honda that carry the RFBC 250 engine since the early 80s all the way to its end in the late 2000s. Many models have this engine and platform, namely the XR, XLR, XRL, XL, blah blah blah, you get the point. I will be giving you 3 reasons why it's an awesome bike to use as a supermoto, and 3 reasons why you should stay away from it. Okay, first reason why the XR250 is an awesome bike for supermoto is the fact it is a well-built bike even though it's an older design. It is powered by an air-cooled 250cc, 4-valve, 4-stroke carbureted engine that produces, on average, depending on tuning, 28 horsepower and 27 Nm of torque, stock. That is way more compared to that of the liquid-cooled CRF 250 and 300L in stock trim. Now, the XR comes with a 6-speed manual transmission with a chain final drive, and for suspension, you get cartridge-style forks that give you 11 inches of travel and 11 inches of rear suspension travel via a monoshock and Honda's trademark ProLink suspension system. All of that connected to a single backbone, double cradle steel frame. Braking is provided by a 2-piston caliper disc brake system at the front, while the rear, depends on the year, a drum rear brake for the 80s models, and for the 90s to the 2000s, you get a single piston caliper disc brake system. Fuel capacity is at 9.8 liters and does not require a fuel pump. As for weight, depending on the model, the XR250 is at 111 kilograms on average with all fluids. Still a lightweight motorcycle even by today's standards. Okay, reason number 2 is the fact that everything about it is so easy. Easy in the sense that maintenance is very minimal. All you have to do is use the factory recommended engine oil, keep your air filter clean, and always use fresh gasoline when you ride. Now, if something does break or needs fixing, the XR250 is one of the easiest bikes to fix. Broke or bent your frame? Well, you can weld it. Need to adjust your valves? Check the maintenance guide found in the internet and you can do it yourself. Riding the XR250 is very straightforward. Get on the bike, kickstart it, and go. The lightweight paired with the smooth and predictable power makes it very easy to operate and maneuver in most situations. There is so much low-end torque and mid-range torque that it makes blasting out of corners extremely fun. You can even pop 3rd gear power wheelies with a bit of suspension play. As is, the XR250 is a dedicated off-roader. Although outperformed by most modern enduro bikes, it can still hold its own in most situations. Now, reason number 3 why it's an awesome bike for building a supermoto on is the fact that it has been around for so long. The XR250 community has grown so much, it's basically worldwide. Plus, 3 decades of technical knowledge from maintenance tips to go-fast parts and modifications, you basically have an unlimited supply of information at your fingertips. Even up to this day, we find more ways to keep the XR250 up and running and performing better. Replacement or compatible parts are still available as of today, and you will be surprised that there are parts from other models and brands compatible with the XR250. Converting an XR250 to a supermoto is very easy. Simply swap the stock wheels for 17s with sticky road rubber and you got yourself a lightweight, sharper handling, and torquey street weapon that eats corners while giving the kids on their newer bikes a run for their money. Now, this would not be an honest review if I do not mention any bad things about the XR250. So, here are 3 reasons why you should stay away from this bike. They're pretty straightforward, really. Number 1 is, well, supply and prices. Having been around for 3 decades, you might think the XR250 is easy to find. Well, since it has been discontinued in 2007, well, it's going to be a very big challenge. Most of the owners of the XR250s do not want to let go of their bikes. And if you know what to look for, well, I'm pretty sure they're priced too high for a really good example, or needs a lot of repairs if you do find one really cheap. Reason number 2 why you should stay away from this bike has to do with you as the owner. If you are the kind of rider who likes to tinker, maintain, or do parts hunting for an older bike, and who has lots of patience and loves the crude simplicity of an older bike, then by all means go ahead. But if you are not that kind of rider and would rather go for something more convenient, then stay away from this bike. Last and final reason why you should stay away from this bike, despite all the positive things that I mentioned, is the fact that it is old and very expensive to maintain. Despite the aftermarket backing and online resources we have today, keeping a vintage Enduro in tip-top shape is very expensive. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I basically grew up with the XR line. Me and my dad and 2 brothers have had a total of 10 XRs from the humble 200 and even up to the 650 versions. And having been a member of an all XR club where I live, parts are getting hard to find and are going way up in prices, especially here where I live. But if you are someone who fancies older bikes, has deep pockets, and looking for a fun play bike, then go ahead. No one is stopping you from getting an XR250. Alright, that's it for this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have an XR, may it be any of the models and engine sizes from the 250 to 650, share your thoughts and opinions about it. As always, see you next time. Bye.